The end of all things. What does it mean? And what am I trying to say when I say the end of all things? All things in life have a beginning and an end. One day you go to kindergarten, and another day you graduate from high school. At the beginning of your K through 12 experience, and then you have the ending. You get married, you have a baby. The baby grows up, becomes an adult, moves out. There's a beginning and an end. Someday, all things will end. Now, for me to explain to you what I'm trying to communicate to you through saying the end of all things, let me give you a little bit of my personal history. I became a Christian December of 1995. I came to the end of myself. I was living for me. At first, I was having lots of hedonistic fun. I was doing lots of drugs, sleeping around, and no reason to get into a lot of detail with it. But then, as time went on, I started becoming more and more miserable and realizing that I was living a purposeless life, that there really was a God, and I needed to get my life in order and figure out the meaning behind why am I here. It's no secret that I like to make videos, and I'm a prepper, and so when the jab happened, I panicked. I think it was very scary to be forced into a medical experiment. So I did lots of videos on that, and within those videos, I talked a lot about prepping. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I think it's smart to prepare for it. I believe being a prepper is a very intelligent thing. It's not a conspiracy theorist or a survivalist. It's just looking at the trends of today and making an assessment of where you think things are going to be tomorrow and preparing for it. For example, I have a nest egg. I have a little bit that here and there that I have invested. And when COVID happened, well, I sold some of my stocks and I bought some medical stocks. And I didn't make millions, but it went up and I made a few dollars. And then when Joe Biden got elected, well, he did those executive orders on like his first day, and he eliminated the Keystone Pipeline and exploration on federal lands. And I'm like, well, gas prices are going to go up, so I sold the medical stocks. I bought some gas stocks, and those went up. That's prepping. You see what's happening today, you draw an assessment of what's going to happen tomorrow, and you prepare for it. Right? And so it's, being a prepper, it's kind of become a pejorative, and personally I think it's a smart thing. You should really prepare for where you think everything's going. Excuse me. And so in my quest to be prepared, I watch lots of news. I'm a news junkie, and 2023 I've been kind of like, I'm never going to eliminate watching the news, but I'm going to try to have less screen time, less social media time, and live more in the present, in the here and now, instead of online. Well, I'm still, watching some channels and news, and one of the things that, let me back up a little bit. As a Christian, I believe there is going to come a day when God wraps everything up, and it's the end of all things. And as a prepper and a Christian, I believe it's very intelligent to keep an eye on biblical prophecy. And so when COVID happened, no red flags, no nothing. It was just like, wow, this is dumb. At first it was scary, I'm not going to lie, but as information came out, me being a news junkie and me being curious and a prepper, I'm digging into what the real numbers and the real, the things that were really going on with COVID. And it's like, this is a huge overreaction. And one of the things that I learned was that COVID was causing a global food shortage because, things weren't being shipped, farmers weren't tending their fields, and it was causing, the global food supply to decrease. Excuse me. And so I'm like, well, that's interesting. That's definitely something to keep an eye on. So I filed it in the back of my head, and moved on. And, most of my focus was on COVID. Well, the Russia-Ukraine war happened, and I became a little startled because, again, I am keeping one eye out for biblical prophecy. And there's the four horsemen of the apocalypse, and I'm going, wait a minute. There's a food shortage. There was a global event called COVID that happened. And now there's a war. And the four horsemen of the apocalypse is there's the white horse, which is a rider with a bow. A rider with a bow. People believe he's the Antichrist, so that kind of symbolizes the Antichrist through deals and manipulation and things like that, not through overt war, starting to gain control, riding as if to conquer, holding a bow in his hand. So not necessarily attack, but the threat of war can be implied by that. And one thing I find interesting for people who study Scripture is that the typology of the Antichrist is usually a bow is in there, like Nimrod, a mighty hunter, and so on and so forth. So, so it's kind of like, okay, yeah, this kind of looks like the Antichrist. And then after him, what follows, right? Some people think that maybe it's Jesus and the church, but it's like, well, no, the Bible talks about the fruit. What kind of fruit is produced from what you do in your life? And this guy, what follows him, is war, famine, death, hell. So, yeah, I would say he's probably the Antichrist, posing as a Christ-like figure. So, you've got a global food shortage, which, as the news rolled out, it's exacerbated and turned into a global famine from the war. You have COVID, which was an overreach of the World Health Organization. You've got the World Economic Forum now overreaching. So, somebody is collecting power, is conquering nations. You have a global war, and you have a global famine. And now people are suddenly dropping dead, so now you've got death on the rise. Numbers are going up. More and more people are dying as time goes on. And so it definitely looks like we could be in the end times. The four horsemen of the apocalypse could be riding at this time. And so as I'm scouring the news, recently what's been popping up is that you've got Chinese and Russian ships are showing up 100 miles or so off of the coasts of America. And recently a nuclear-armed submarine was spotted off the east coast, a Russian submarine. And so it's like, why is China and Russia surrounding America? Well, as a prepper, you kind of look at current trends and what's, where do you think it's going to happen in the future? Well, we have this war that's escalating. You have China preparing for war. China, has made it plain we are taking Taiwan. They have airplanes and ships off the coast of Japan. They're starting to harass Japan, so it's like, well, they're probably next after Taiwan falls. And of course, the Russia-Ukraine war has been escalating. You've got Germany and Poland now sending tanks. It's not food, it's now tanks. Russia has made several red lines that if you do this, then we're going to have all-out war. And of course, NATO has done it. And so to me, logically, it's like, yeah, they're probably, Russia had said they're going to go after the information centers. And, America is the NATO big dog. And so it would not surprise me that more than likely Russia and China are probably preparing to drop a lot of missiles on America, a few EMPs to disrupt our communications, and then start bringing troops in. Now, am I saying this is going to happen? Well, no. No. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen. We have to wait and see. But as a prepper, you prepare, right? It's like, okay, look, you've got food prices going up, probably should get some food because, and supply chain disruptions, maybe we should have some food and water. As a nurse, I've been seeing that pharmacies are running out of medicine because of supply chain disruptions. So you should probably start stockpiling a little bit of medicine, see if your doctor would be willing to write you an extra prescription, come up with some kind of excuse for it, because truthfully, you might go a month without meds. You might have to go, 2 weeks of calling pharmacies till you find one with your medication. Supply chains are disrupted, so you should prepare for things you need to not be available right now while they are available. And so with the Russian and China ships and the war escalating and the direction it looks like things are going, it's like, are you prepared? Are you prepared for death? Because here in America, more than likely, a lot of people are going to die. Now, I don't know. I'm not saying that we are going to get missiles dropped on us, but why wouldn't we? We're sending armaments to Ukraine, and they're using them on the Russians, so why wouldn't Russia want to get rid of the information center like they had said already? Our President Joe Biden has made it clear that if China does anything to Taiwan, we're going to defend them. And we had, what was that, Nancy Pelosi went over there and upset the Chinese. So they're like, okay, we need to maybe get rid of America before we invade Taiwan. And so, yeah, why wouldn't they? To me, it's logical. If I was the leader of China or Russia, and I was in the situation that they're in right now, it would be logical to me. Hey, look, let's take out the big dog. America against Russia, it's going to be a pretty bloody fight. America against China, it's going to be a pretty bloody fight. But America against both, we ain't going to stand a chance, right? It's kind of like Russia attacking, the West, attacking England and France, and then also going after Russia, and you've got a two-front war, and everybody was like, you can't do that, you're going to lose, and sure enough, they lost. So we could have a two-front war. We could have Russia coming in at the east and China coming in at the west. We're not going to stand a chance. So, are you prepared? At the very least, this is the end of America as a superpower. This is the end. I mean, we've got the end right here. Is it the end of all things? Personally, I think so. You've got Bible prophecy being fulfilled. It looks like the 4 horsemen are riding. Israel is a nation. Israel has Jerusalem. And Jesus had made it very plain in the Bible that when you see these things, lift your head up, your redemption draws nigh. So, what are you going to do if this is the end of all things? Even if it's not the end of all things, this could be the end of a lot of people's lives, including you, including me. Well, the truth is that we're going to be judged, regardless of whether we just die or Jesus comes back. Like he says he's going to. You're going to be judged. I am going to be judged. As I had said in 1995, I became a Christian. And what I did before I became a Christian was pretty reprehensible. Let me just give you an example of one thing. My father had made available videotapes of pornography. And so I watched a lot of porn. And I would masturbate all the time. And it was available, and I was a teenager, and why not? Felt good. I'm going to be judged for that. the lust, you know, self-abuse, you know. Um, and today, if you might be carrying one of these around, and you could literally watch pornography 24/7 for free. You could go shopping at a supermarket and just be watching that, you know, have some headphones on, right? So you're going to be judged for that. I'm going to be judged for what I did. And I'm going to stand before the living God of the universe, who has made paradise. And he's going to look at me and say, why would I defile my paradise with the likes of you? God's going to look at you and say the same exact thing. Why would I defile my paradise for the likes of you? Look at what you did with your life. He's going to show me what I've done with my life. All my lies, all my lust, all the evil things. I treated people bad. I lived for me and me alone. And how are you living? What are you doing? He's going to judge you just the same as he's going to judge me. Nobody's going to get through without first being judged. And I'm going to stand there ashamed, embarrassed, knowing that I deserve hell. I deserve it. I earned it. I went out and I worked hard to be evil, and I earned my spot in the lake of fire. But Jesus is going to say, I paid for it. The punishment and the wrath that he deserves, I took that. And then God's going to say, enter into your rest. You know, when I was younger, you know, I was 25 when I became a Christian, and so enter into your rest didn't really have that much of an impact. But now that I'm in my early 50s, enter into your rest. Or, enter into my rest is what God says. And it really has an impact. It's like, I'm tired. I've been working my whole life, struggling my whole life. Nobody handed me anything. And for you, probably the same thing. For most people, they've worked hard their whole life. And they've struggled and struggled and struggled. And, when you get in, in the upper middle age bracket, you start getting tired. You start wanting to rest, And I was in my 20s, you go out drinking. I could drink but I had a handful of times. I, drank and did drugs all night and go to work the next day. I did construction, so, it was hard physical work, and it's just like, the first few hours wasn't so bad, but by the end, you were tired, you were exhausted. And I could do that. I was in my 20s. I couldn't do that today. I'd call in. I'd be like, no, I'm still drunk. I need to go sleep it off. But that's the truth. You're going to stand there, and there's going to be nobody there to help you unless you pick up your cross, deny yourself, and follow Jesus. That is the only way to prepare for the end of all things. He says, if you want to come after me, to take up your cross, deny yourself, and follow me. Whoever tries to save their own life, are you going to try to do it on your own, going to be good enough for God? Will lose it. No, you can't save yourself. Just like with these Russia and Chinese ships and subs that are nuclear armed, you can't save yourself, right? Those bombs start dropping, what are you going to do, right? Unless you've got $1 million bunker or something like that. What are you going to do? Unless you're, I mean, if those bombs went off tomorrow and you're not prepared, you're done, right? Same with eternity. You know, once you're standing there before God, what you've done is what you've done. And if you're not prepared, you're sunk. So if you want to be prepared for the end of all things, truly, truly prepared, you need to pick up your cross. The Bible says to offer yourself as a living sacrifice to God. That means no personal agenda. No, God, if you do this for me, I'll do this for you. Oh, God, if you get me through this, I'll quit smoking. No, God doesn't make deals. He says, no, give it all. Give me your whole life, and I'll fix it. No, don't give me smoking. Don't give me pornography. No, give me all of it and follow me. Sacrifice yourself for me, and then I will fix you. I will make you clean. So when you stand before my Father, what I did on the cross will apply to you. That's it. There's no deals. There's some, if you say a prayer, well, yeah, I think that's probably a good starting point, saying a prayer to ask God to forgive you. Nothing against that. But then you have to take up your cross and follow him. You have to make that decision and follow it with actions. Right? You pick up a Bible, start reading it. This is the information age. You can get a free Bible on this. You can watch on YouTube, Rumble, wherever. You can watch the audio Bibles. You can listen to an audio Bible. You can watch somebody preaching about the Bible. I'm going to close with this because we're at the 20-minute mark. But if you've made it this long, Jesus said that on the last days there will be deceptions. There will be false Christs and false prophets. So it's imperative now that if you make that decision to follow Christ, you've got to read and pray. Read that Bible and pray continually, because you're going to run into people that say, oh, it's fine to do this, it's fine to do that, and that's not true. I'm going to do videos now talking about this, because this is really important, and I truly believe the end of all things. At the very least, the end of America, and I do believe that Russia and China are going to more than likely do something, because it's World War III. Why wouldn't they do something to America, right? That's not logical. If it's World War III and they are against America, why wouldn't they? We've got the cyber attacks going on right now. Where do you think that's coming from? That's coming from them. They're sending cyber attacks to us right now. We've got all these farms and food processing plants burning up. It's on. They're attacking America right now, and eventually it's going to be missiles and troops and whatnot. Why wouldn't they? That's not logical. So first and foremost, prepare. All right, prepare for the end of all things. Get your heart right with God. Follow him as much as you can, and I enjoy making these videos. It's fun. It's a hobby. I'm not thinking I'm going to be, PewDiePie, some kind of big YouTuber. But, I'll make them, and Lord willing, they'll help somebody. I'll have fun, and I'll be helping people at the same time. So have a blessed day.